let's
Sweet.
let's go.
All right, let's go. How's it going, man? How you been?
Yeah, no, I've been well, I mean, been a bit of a rough week, but other than that, not I guess not too bad. I mean, I'm good now, but yeah,
Excellent.
but yeah,
Good, man. Yeah, the stars have been all funny lately. We were talking about that earlier.
yeah.
But I think they're starting to straighten up. A lot of things are getting revealed in the world of the nature of people, the nature of things, and I think it's going in a positive direction.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think there's just a
Yeah.
lot of stuff coming up right now for people
Yes.
and just generally that needs to come up and be cleared. And but yeah, you were yeah, you were earlier talking with me also regarding, like, where is God's wife, and
Yeah.
this, like,
Where is she? Where's the family in the sky? Why is it just one guy? It's kind of weird to me.
hmm,
It's been weird for a long time for me, and it's been very difficult for me to like integrate into a religion because I don't see a model of a family. I don't see like a proper father role, a mother role, and a child role. And I've been saying for a long time, I feel like the original Trinity was the father, mother, and the child. Not necessarily a boy or a girl child, just like a child.
mm-hmm,
And that's the dynamic that life follows. You have to have those three things to go in a direction anywhere. It's like the basic platonic solid of life itself. I guess that's why people hang on to that Trinity, the pyramid shape and things like that. So I
mm-hmm.
was learning about the Dinah, the Native American religion is called the Dinah. If I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway,
Yeah.
they have the concept of Mother Earth and Father Sky, and they meet in the middle, and it creates the world that we live in and humanity. And so I just kind of applied that to Abrahamic religions, and I was like, what if the devil isn't a guy or wasn't an angel? What if it was God's wife?
Mm-hmm.
Because the devil lives in the earth, deep under the earth, and has like these primal urges that test the metal of man, I guess. And then you have Father Sky up there
Yeah.
fighting this entity in the earth, and they don't get along. But in between those two things is us. And I just thought, what if it's a girl? What if Lucifer is like a woman? You know what I mean? Like, what if they
Mm-hmm.
got a divorce and we're in the midst of a giant cosmic custody battle? That's a term that my friend came up with. He said, and it
Yeah.
really got me. I was like, a cosmic custody battle. Like, whoa, dude. That's exactly how I have felt for a really long time between these two things. And
Mm-hmm.
there's themes in this with Star Wars. You have the Jedi and the Sith.
Yes.
The Jedi are very aloof. They are like in the clouds in the sky. They don't want to feel any feelings. They don't want to get married. They don't want to have kids. They don't want to have love for themselves. They get rid of all attachment. They think attachment is evil. It leads to evil. And then on the flip side, you have, you know,
Yeah.
the Sith. They believe in love. They believe in having families. They believe in doing things in that direction. And then you start to think, when you get in the more complex themes of Star Wars, you're like, were the Jedi really that good? Like, what's going on? Uh, did Anakin Skywalker have a point? He of course went too far, but
Yeah.
if he would have been allowed to have a wife, if he would have been allowed to have kids and love his kids, would that dude have lost his shit like that? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Because you had the Jedi like lie to you. give you half truths, and they said it was all for the sake of safety, right? And we've all kind of recently seen what doing things for the sake of safety will do to the world, right? I don't need to go any further than that, but we know what that means now. And there's a natural rebellion inside of people that try and stop that. That's the dynamic between the Sith and the Jedi. And that's why I really like those Luke Skywalker books, the Legends books, where he gets married to Mara Jade. He has kids. Princess Leia marries Han Solo. They have kids. And they do wonderful things. Like, they get rid of the Jedi code, they get rid of the Sith code, and they make a new thing where you can be a good person, have a lightsaber, and also have a family. So, Luke understood what happened with his father, and he merged the masculine and feminine. I think the Sith is like the feminine side, and the Jedi is the masculine side. And it came together to have a brighter future. Just to preface where all these ideas are coming from, just a lot of different places, a lot of different religions, a lot of different stories. I'm seeing this theme of nature is evil, the sky where nothing lives is good. Purify yourself, blood and flesh is evil. Your mind is the only pure thing, only serve your mind. And I don't think that's working. I just don't think that's working out for people.
In that sense, I don't know. A lot of this regarding what you're talking about makes me think about like the more like Jungian notions regarding the instinctual side, but also linked to the body versus I guess the mind, also linked to the symbolism of the sky, and there's the symbolism of masculine and feminine in that, and dark and light, and consciousness and unconsciousness, and then in that sense, there is a struggle between those two things that they are. In that sense, seen as these, I guess, opposite forces where they don't have to be, where one can, I guess, bring them together. And in some of the like Indo-European mythologies, for instance, there's a lot of this concept that I've had, which is called the Heros Gamos. So it's like the union of opposites. It's like this sacred marriage between the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah.
And there used to be a lot of that, but then there's like indeed, and there's these other beliefs there where there's this like conflict that is happening between these two sides, and then there's this like weird war going on. I mean, even in the culture, in some sense, there's like stuff like that going on as well. And then I kind of also feel what is relevant to still bring up too is the story that regarding the Buddha. So that's the one from India that. He made in one of the stories, he made peace between the Naga and the Garuda, and the Naga are like earth snake women, and Garuda are like masculine eagle people, basically. You can to put it in simple terms. And the Buddha made peace between them so that then their war that is going on won't destroy the world. The entire environment and the surroundings, and it's the same symbolism in that, but also in alchemy and in Jungian psychology and these in the European mythology too. It's this coming together of those both sides into one, where there is a family in that sense, because the two coming together in the mythology, for instance, even in Egypt, produces the third. It's like they have like Isis and Osiris, and they come together, and that produces Horus. That's the divine child. Even though it's like a masculine figure, technically it doesn't have to really be a masculine figure. It's the divine child. So it's like this coming together.
Child.
Yeah. It's the child. And there's a lot of that in the ancient traditions there, in the mystery schools as well. And but yeah, in some weird way, it seems to be lost on a lot of us. And,
yes.
It's sad, and leads to
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad because they should be married. They should be married. You know, they should be together. The earth and the sky should not be fighting. You know, you need the sun to make stuff on the earth grow. What would the earth be without the sky? You know, it would just be rock. You know, if we hadn't, like I've said this before, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, like the Trinity, right? Like the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. Okay. I made this kind of joke a while ago. I'm like, yeah, but what about a quaternity? You know, what about 4? What about nothing? What about nil? And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, if you didn't have nothing, you wouldn't have waterfalls. Like, there would be no cliff for the water to fall off of and make something beautiful. Like, if you just had everything, you would just be in a block of matter and you could not move. Like, your face would be on a rock. Does that make sense? Like, we need to cut some things out. Nothingness is an important element. And I was kind of joking around, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, we need the sky. The sky is that nothing. It's that cutout where you can have air above you and rain fall down and water fall. There's a lot of other elements to everything that are necessary for life to exist. And I feel like the Father Sky is that element of spirit, of up there, not down here on something solid. It's ideas. Something that I've seen in popular culture happen lately is, I believe this idea is emerging through the collective unconscious. And I'll bring up Star Wars again because, you know, I watched the Star Wars movies lately, the whole May the 4th thing, and I've been playing that Jedi Survivor game. It's a really good game. After they did that update, got rid of those bugs. But long story short, these themes, to my shock, were in this game. You know, like Mother Devil and Father God getting together. So there's this Jedi character, and there's this Dathomir witch, this Night Sister. You know, she does like dark magic or something like that. So this Jedi, spoiler alert, everybody, this Jedi and this witch like kiss, and they start a relationship with each other. And of course, this is forbidden to the Jedi. You can't kiss girls. What are you doing? That's bad. You're a bad monk. Bad. We're gonna take your lightsaber away. But you know, this is after Anakin killed all the Jedi, and he's like a survivor. He's like one of the only Jedi left. So he's just like, you know, fuck it. All right, I'll kiss you. I think I love you. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? So this theme is like getting played out right in this game as I'm in the midst of talking with you and my other friends about, you know, where's God's wife? And the Jedi is like wondering the same thing. Like, can I have a wife? Like, the world's over. Like, is this okay? I'm not through the whole game yet. I just played that last night and I saw that scene. So after she kisses you, this witch, she like opens these portals and you fly through these portals, and she gives you this extra power and ability as like a gift, like a token of her love. You had this expanded ability to like fight the bad guys. I was like, holy fuck, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's coming out of the culture before I can speak about it on a podcast. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, what do you think about the Dark Witch and the Jedi sort of coming together.
I've actually seen the entire gameplay recently because of the entire. I'm not gonna spoil the end of it, but what I can say is that definitely there's this coming together of dark and light, masculine and feminine symbolism in that for sure, and from more like a Jungian lens. I mean, this has been a long time coming, because back when like Jung was writing his books, and even in Man and His Symbols, this is like the one he wrote before he died. He wrote about this emerging of the fourth in the like, instead of Trinity, there being a quaternity.
Really?
Yes, he wrote about that, and he said that the fourth emerging from in people at the time was like a feminine devil figure, basically. So the devil became feminine in the dreams of many people, to somehow try to reconcile the Trinity, to bring that together. Even though I would add personally that originally the Holy Spirit was actually a feminine spirit linked to Sophia, the Christian goddess Sophia. And there's like, and I guess there's like in that sense like the masculine and the feminine linked to like these different spheres coming together, and in that sense with like Sophia and with Jesus also, there being this kind of symbolism there. And I think like Sophia comes also out of this like tradition of this like triple goddess as well. What was it again? Anna Marie Ishtar or Mary Ann Ishtar, I don't know, something along these lines. I don't remember exactly how it was, but it's like these three different figures of the feminine linked to more something instinctual, something more spiritual, like Sophia, and then something in the center, bringing these two together, and something similar being there with the masculine as well. And I've been like playing or like I've been like creating that based on a lot of the Indo-European but also Proto-Indo-European myth with this like mandala that I have, where I'm also like showing that this like intellectual and spiritual coming together with this earthly and instinctual, and that coming together in men and in women, and then that coming together in the center, and that leading to this kind of sacred marriage, and this producing of the third, the child.
Yes. And there's also a popular meme on TikTok about a alternative couple. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's basically a golf girl and a farmer getting married. So you have this really dark, witchy type chick marrying this like Republican farmer, and they say they're one of the happiest couples out there because they balance each other out.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought that was very interesting that got very popular, like millions of people talking about the alternative couple. And that was a long time ago. I didn't quite understand these ideas that I'm talking about now at the time, but thinking back, that was definitely part of that. Part of that new way of looking at things. Like, maybe these people have something to them. Maybe there's something to all of this other side of women. This sort of darkness people are afraid of. But it's connected to the earth in a way that men are not. And it's even a valuable part of a relationship or a dynamic. There was also this Darren Aronofsky movie in 2017 called Mother. I think I talked to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, you had. Maybe like for those listening, maybe you can like fill them in a bit regarding that.
Yeah. So Mother is like an allegory about God's wife. I came to find out, and that propelled me even further into this thought because I hadn't seen that movie until like a month ago. And I kind of wanted to watch it based on my thoughts that I was having. I was like, Mother, what's that? What's that? And I turn it on. It's honestly one of the most fucked up movies that I've seen because there's a lot of truth in it. Long story short, there's this couple that move out into the middle of the woods in this nice house that recently burned, and they're restoring it together, and they're going to have a family. And so the mother is, fixing the place up and doing things, but the father, he locks himself in his office, and he's an author, and he writes books all day, and he doesn't really pay attention to his wife. He doesn't really try to fix the house up. He's not really concerned about that. He's concerned about creating his own world of characters and people, and not really making a family with her or making the house nice with her. He doesn't really care. So he's writing this book. She's trying to get his attention. She's trying to, get him to, to bang her, and be romantic. And he's just like not into it. He just doesn't care. He's thinking all the time, thinking. And she's embodying. She's like, I'm going to make a baby room. I'm going to paint this house. I'm going to fix these stairs. And all he can do is type on his fucking typewriter. Anyway, somebody bangs on the door, and he opens it, and it's this dude that's like new to town, and he's like, "Hey, I heard this is a bed and breakfast. I just got a job here." And the mother's like, "No, this is not. This is our house. What are you doing here? Can you like get out of here? This is our private property." And then the father's like, "No, come in, like make him a cup of tea. Have a seat." And he comes in, and he lights up a cigarette as soon as he gets inside the house. And she's like, no, you need to put that out. And the father's like, oh, no, it's okay. She's like, no, it's our house. Put the cigarette out. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. So he takes a cigarette, and he throws it on her hardwood floor, and he steps on it. He's like, sorry, ma'am. And she's like, what the fuck? Why did you just do that? Is really disrespectful. Like, what the? You could have at least thrown it out the door, not stamp on it in my house. So the father doesn't say anything. He's not that mad about it. And they sit down, and the guy starts saying, I love your books. Oh, you know what my books are? And he lights up. He's like, oh, somebody's like worshiping me, and they love my book. Anyway, the next day rolls around. That guy stays the night. Somebody else is banging on the door. They go and answer it, and it's this guy's wife, this stranger's wife that's looking for him. She's like, he's dying, it's his dying wish to meet you, his favorite author. And, we need to take him home. And then the mother's like, see, I told you he was fucking crazy. Like, he's this weird guy. Let's get him out of here. And then his sons barge in, and then they're into her house, and they start arguing over his inheritance because he's about to die. And one of them takes like a doorknob and bashes the other one's brains in and thinks he's going to get the inheritance now. So after that guy dies, every one of their relatives shows up at her house for the funeral because the father is like all welcoming, and he loves these people worshiping him, and he doesn't really care about his wife. He doesn't care about, their kid. She's pregnant, and he doesn't really care. So anyway, long story short, you come to find out this is an allegory of Adam and Eve. Adam was the first guy. Eve was the second lady that knocked on the door. And the two sons that came in there, they were Cain and Abel. And Cain killed Abel with the doorknob, bashed his brains in over something. And then all these other people are like their descendants inside the house. And they start like living there with him. And she's really pissed about this. She's like, who the fuck are all these people living in my house? And with around my baby, you know, because she's pregnant, she's scared about what they're going to do to her baby.
Mm-hmm.
So they like make all these weird altars in her house. And then they start taking the ink from his typewriter on their thumbs and they rub it on each other's foreheads as like a form of prayer. Mm-hmm. So they just start full on worshiping this guy. And at this point, you kind of get the picture like he's supposed to be God, you know, and him writing his book is him creating humanity, you know. But he didn't create the earth. She created the earth, right? And they make that pretty clear. Like she's a part of the house, a part of the land, a part of the earth. And he has this office way at the tippy top of the house, like 3 flights of stairs up. And that's like his...
Yeah.
You know, throne in heaven, I guess, is what it was getting at. Mm-hmm. But anyway, she has the baby, and he wants to show all the crazy cult people in his house the baby, and she's like, God, no, this is the hell, no way. And so she passes out from having the baby, and he takes the baby out to all these crazy fucking people. And, you know...
Oh God!
They love the baby so much that they tear it apart and start eating it, because they want it to be in them. They want it to be a part of them, and it's one of the most fucked up scenes. I'll never watch that movie again. I got the message.
I bet that's
never gonna watch it.
That's just fucking brutal.
Right, and then you come to, it's brutal, man. It's awful, but I think the director made that decision because he was trying to illustrate the point that, you know, this is Jesus Christ. You know, this is kind of what happened here, you know. Mm-hmm. This dude was born only to die for us. He was never meant to live his own life. And so the mother sees them tear the baby apart, and she loses her shit. She starts stabbing people, she starts killing people, she starts bashing their brains in, and then they start like, they all gang up on her and beat the fuck out of her, and they try to kill her, and then the God character comes in and stops it, and she's like, look what they did to our baby. And then you look around, and they have taken the baby and put its body on an altar, and they're like worshiping it and like drinking its blood, because they're like, this is how we become holy, this is how we get closer to God. And she starts screaming, you know, like just and tries to kill more people. So she's not able to, so she has to run into the basement away from these people. She can't get out of the house. There's so many fucking people like trapping her. She's already made the decision. She's like, this whole place, this whole house, everything in this place is pure evil. Like, there's nothing good about this creation at all. So she goes into the basement, which I think is a representation of hell. Mm-hmm. And there's this furnace down there, you know, with the fire, full of oil. And so the father, the God character, he knows what she's doing. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, she's done. So now they're at war. She's at war with his creation, and he's trying to protect his creation that he did not make with her. The creation that he made with her, he sacrificed to his book people. He didn't care about the baby. And he even said to her, honey, I think there's a way that we could forgive them and something good can come out of this. Have faith. And she's like, fuck you, man. Like, fuck you. Hell no. This is not happening. So she gets into the basement, takes a hammer, and busts open the oil drum, and then sets it on fire and blows up the whole house and kills everybody. And the movie's over. I was like, holy fuck. Is that what happened? It's like that's crazy. I've never really seen something like that. I've kind of had these vague feelings of Mother Earth and Father Sky, but that really illustrated it out very well. As a sort of a lens to see Abrahamic religion. Like, where is God's wife? Well, she probably doesn't want anything to do with all that shit. Like, a woman wouldn't put up with that.
I wouldn't think so either.
No. And then I went deeper into like Greek mythology and Zeus banging all these humans and making demigods like Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
Hera, his wife, found out, and what did she do? She set out to kill Hercules and all of his kids that he had because they're not gods. You know, she sees them as abominations. She's like, this is fucked up. Like, what are you doing to our family in Mount Olympus, Zeus? And he's like, I'm sorry, honey, I didn't mean to. Because he doesn't get involved when Hercules is getting hunted down by Hera. So I quickly realized this is a theme that has been under my nose for a long time that is not being talked about openly. And I think it would help. Because this is definitely a thing.
I don't know, it reminds me of some of the mystery schools too, where Dionysus also was such a figure, a demigod in some sort before rising up to Mount Olympus. And Hera got all pissed about it, and then she had the Titans. She had the Titans kill Dionysus, but then he got like reborn, and then he had to go through all kinds of trials, and then eventually he could be part of Mount Olympus. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of symbolism in that regarding this split between the two, between the masculine, the feminine, the earth and the sky. And I think to quote like the Star Wars character Kreia, or like paraphrase, or maybe is better, that the true war is not fought like outside of us, but it's fought within. A lot of this stuff is happening right within us, this conflict that is playing out between light and dark, but also masculine and feminine inside of ourselves, from like a Jungian lens, but also like the instinctual and the intellectual, and these different opposites, that we see it as such, even though they're part of the both of us, and we don't have to tear that apart. It's like it's the same thing with the Titans, like that they were tearing apart Dionysus. They tore him apart limb by limb, so the only thing what was left was the heart, and they ate his flesh.
Yeah. Ooh, that's very much like that movie I was talking about. That's crazy. I did not know that part.
Yeah, but then he Dionysus got reborn. Though he got put in his in Zeus's leg, and then or thigh. I think it was thigh, and then he got reborn again, and then he had to go through all kinds of trials and tribulations to be able to restore himself. Similarly with Osiris too, he also got cut apart into pieces, and then his wife had to put him back together to help to produce this child that then would overcome this tyrant, Seth, that was usurping the throne and being this basically dictator in some sense.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up Darth Kreia. I was just talking about her the other night with a friend of mine, and I was telling him the story of when you go to Nal Hutta and you see this homeless guy on the side. Yeah, you know this story, but it's such a good story. It always stuck with me. Like, you can either give the guy some credits for food, or give him nothing and like tell him to get a job or whatever. And so, of course, you know, I gave the guy some money. I felt bad for him. I'm a Jedi, right? And you give him this money, and then Darth Kreia starts giving you like this narration. She's like following this guy into the alley, and you see him get beat up by these people to take his money, and they kill this guy. And I think they beat him up. I don't know if they kill him, but they beat this guy up and take his money because they saw you give him money. They weren't going to fight you because they know they like see your lightsaber, but they wait for that hobo to be alone, beat him up, take his shit. And Kreia's like, look what you've done. You did this to him. You gave him power that he didn't understand, and you have hurt him more than you have helped him. You should have given him nothing and had him figure it out on his own. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being a good person. But as you get older and you realize things about homelessness and you realize things about people, you realize, yeah, that doesn't really help anybody. And it's even in, you know, parts of the Bible, you know, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime without you being around to give him shit all the time. You help him have power. So I think that's what she was saying. And I'm like, whoa, that's some heavy Sith philosophy there. You know, is that wrong? Is that right?
I don't know. It makes me think about this this story. Also, it's this Chinese story of this farmer. And the farmer, the story, I don't know, I don't exactly remember the story, but the story goes something along the lines of that. His horse escapes. And then the people come to the farmer and say, like, how horrible that your horse escaped. And the farmer replied, maybe. Then the next day the horse came back and brought a whole bunch of other horses with it. And the people were like, how great this is. And the farmer replied, maybe. Then sometime after, his son tried to tame one of the wild horses. And then he fell off the horse and broke his leg. And then the people were again being like, oh, this is so horrible. And the farmer replied, maybe. And then then the next day, there were these people coming to the town to recruit all the sons of the village to fight in some war. And then they saw the farmer's son, and they were like, he has a broken leg, and didn't take him. And then the other people were to the farmer, what a blessing this is that they didn't take his son. And the farmer replied, maybe.
That's a good story, man. Whoa, dude. I really vibe with that. I really resonate with that. It kind of gives me a Robert Anton Wilson vibe. Like being in a state of quantum flux where you're not really sure what's going on. You wait and see until the moment, and then you act. You don't make any assumptions. You're like, yeah, maybe. We'll see. I like that. I think I resonate with that a lot.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Kreia and these actions, and in general, you don't really know how it exactly plays out, the exact consequences of things. But you know, in a way, like everything is interconnected, and like, but it can play out either way, which is the weird thing, like that. So technically, an action that you could see as bad as doing nothing could actually lead to something good, where an action where you do something good or what you think is good actually leads to something bad. But it all depends on the situation. So it's I guess getting to this understanding that what is good is dependent upon many more factors than just, if I give a homeless person money, this means I'm doing good things. It might actually not be a good thing at all. It depends on many things. So many things that we do not know. Doesn't mean one can not do anything, but one has to be wise in knowing how to do stuff. It's like this quote from Korea as well. Be careful of charity and kindness. Let you do more harm with an open hand than a clenched fist.
Man, she was a great character. She had a lot of good quotes that honestly stuck with me my whole life. When did I play that game? Like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, they really read a lot of Nietzsche and Carl Jung, and they dumped that into those Knights of the Old Republic games. And I think they've done the same in these new Jedi games. With the Witch and the Jedi. That's just like, wow. That's exactly what is going on in the unconscious right now. And they know it. They're putting it in there. And now we're talking about it.
Yeah, but I do feel that is exactly what is going on. And a lot of what we were talking about now makes me think about what Max DeBra was talking about in a video. I should put it in the description later on after the stream is done. But it's this video about the Trinity that he's talking about, and how the Trinity represents perfection, where the four, so the quaternity represents wholeness, and in that sense, it's very much like from what I started to understand from my own research, what I did. Regarding this history of consciousness course, and looking into all this mythology, it's basically you have in the mythology you have first the masculine twins, like how it's symbolized, coming together in a singular figure. It's like intellect and instinct. But similarly for women you have that, and then they used to have these rituals for that to happen, and on these rituals, through this sacred marriage symbolism and these rites that they did to facilitate this coming together of heaven and earth, how that was symbolized, and this coming together of the masculine and the feminine in a way where they're already kind of like integrated characters in themselves already, because the intellect and the instinctual are working together already, and then they come together. And then they, and from that comes a family then, which creates more of a harmony between them, that they can complement each other in a better way than that there's this one, like like what you were talking about too, Neirum, about this movie. Mother, that one is very much only focused on the more like grounded instinctual side of things, the earthly things, and the other is only like in the intellect, and then floating up into space, into abstract ideas, and there not being any like meeting ground. It's like when these two come together in men and women, then there's this meeting ground that allows for this relating between the masculine and the feminine. And also, hey, Bevan.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, there's
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Man.
Oh,
what's up, bro? What do you think about all this stuff?
I was just listening in. I probably skipped over half of it in my mind, but sounds so you guys are basically talking about the masculine and the feminine, right?
Right.
Basically, yes. That's the kind of the entire point of the talk, about the coming together of that in a way that's more, I guess, balanced and not like a eternal war. That's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, so like in a relationship or
in the sky,
in general.
Sorry.
You're a little low. Can you get closer to your mic, maybe?
Oh, yeah, sure. Wait, let me switch this one. 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend that I was talking to about this, he was saying it's like the men are going further and further into the clouds, away from the women, working on artificial intelligence to like replace the woman. Like there's this huge project in humanity right now to create robotic angels that serve the purposes of man. It's not going to serve the purposes of women. Its function is to replace women with a mechanical thing. You even have these people working on artificial wombs in Australia, like growing babies in pods. It's a replacement. And I think that's largely because in the Abrahamic religions, there's no wife. You know, God has no wife. He's this lonely dude working on a science project, which is us, with no family. He doesn't have a family. And I guess I kind of find it creepy now. It's weird.
In a way, it is like that's drifting out further and further into outer space and into this weird territory. And I think it is, and I think it's about time to like, to steer things back, to make things a little bit more grounded again, to ground the masculine into and bring this balance between the two. But Gabon, how's your mic going? Yeah, it sounds much better. So what were you saying, Gabon?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I was basically trying to follow the conversation, but yeah, so basically you guys were talking about balancing the masculine and the feminine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So within people or like between people, like in relationships?
Well, like religion. You know, in a lot of religions, you just have like a sky daddy. There's no sky mommy or earth mommy. There's just a dude like alone commanding like a bunch of angels or something, or all of humanity, and there's no other input from a female cosmic figure. In the older religions, even the pagan religions, you know, like Odin and Freya, like they're married and they have Thor. You know, there's not this. Odin's not by himself. You know, he's got a family that he loves and cares about. He also loves and cares about humans, but he sees that they're two different things, and you treat them in two different ways.
Yeah, it's like the masculine or the male takes like the dominant role.
Well, I think it goes further than that. I think a lot of these Abrahamic religions go so far to say, we don't need women. We don't need. Yeah, because there's not a wife.
Yeah, so God doesn't. Then Gnosticism came along, right? And Gnosticism, I think, brought back the feminine. But you know, the Gnosticism was really persecuted by the more patriarchal Christians.
Yes,
basically.
I think from a lot of monks that couldn't get laid, and they rewrote a bunch of stuff to like kick women out of it. Because you think about the nature of these people that push the religion forward. They do not have wives. They do not have kids. And they form the whole culture around loneliness and spiritual quests. They have nothing to do with reality. Has nothing to do with life. Has everything to do with like writing a book, coming up with ideas, things that are not tangible.
Yeah. That sounds very Nietzschean in a way. And I kind of think Nietzsche also saw this. I mean, he didn't really call it the feminine, but he tried to bring back the Dionysian. I think that represents the feminine energy well, even though Dionysus was a male.
Right.
Yeah, but he's very much like linked to like the more instinctual side. But if you look at the mystery schools, the Dionysian mysteries, like the original the teachings and where it comes from the old mother goddess cult. So there's a lot of like these elements woven into Dionysus as a figure, even though he is a masculine figure. So there's like this link to that as well.
Yeah, why do you think Dionysus is a masculine figure?
Well, I mean, he's like a dude. I think he's like an androgynous weird thing. Like I
well,
I don't.
at
I have
some
a lot
point,
of. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It looking at the Orphic myths, for instance, he is a masculine figure, but he becomes kind of both at the same time at some point. There's different stages in the development of Dionysus, where he starts off as one thing and then he becomes this figure of duality, where he's both masculine and feminine. So
Yeah.
I guess he's kind of like masculine, but then he's also masculine and feminine at some point too. And it really depends on, I guess, what stage of the journey we're talking about.
Yeah. He's a very androgynous figure.
Yeah.
And kind of puts off Philosopher's Stone vibes. I think that's why a lot of people in those circles are way into it. I'm not so convinced that's a model we should follow. I think it will be confusing. I think that's why I'm hammering on this. Where's God's wife? And then some answers out there are have the wife be born within you as a man and become androgynous, like that. Blend them together. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's such a good idea. I think it's good to understand how a woman would react if you say something. As a woman, know how a man would react if you say something, and come together.
Yeah.
That's sort of androgyny, like, for the lack of a better term, can function in reality.
Yeah, because our culture is basically kind of going this way, right? Like this gender thing, and transgenderism is on the rise.
Yeah.
But
it is, and I think that comes from those androgynous ideas, like the Dionysian thing. Like, there's a lot of men and women that act like that now.
Yeah,
I don't know, but what I can say is, though, even when it comes to like Dionysus in the original sense, from the pagan mystery schools, but also the Philosopher's Stone and like this marriage of the sun and the moon. It's in those traditions, it's a symbolic thing. And it's linked to like the feminine is linked to like the emotional, intuitive, and instinctual, where the masculine is linked to the intellectual, thinking and like higher spiritual kind of things. And it's kind of the symbolic coming together of that. And it's not really about, in that sense, it doesn't mean that one suddenly becomes now like a man and a woman at the same time. It's more like it's symbolized as such, but it doesn't really. I guess it's like the confusing the symbol for the thing itself. That it's more like an energetical thing. It's more like it doesn't really have a gender. We are just gendering it and giving it this kind of symbolism, because I guess that's just how our brains work. But it's just, but I guess it's just about becoming, I guess as a man, you could put it like that, to become more of a full man that has like both of these sides, so that one can relate to women in a better way. That's really what it is about, because in the end, still, even if those two come together in like in the mystery schools, but also in like this Proto-Indo-European like Choreos or Theia coming together stuff, it's about creating a family, and it's about like and being embodied here on the earth, and then to create a family, a healthy family. That's the whole fucking goal of it. It's not to float off into space or to be a rock unto oneself and just be alone and not do anything. It's actually to go out there and to actually be a balanced person and go out there and have a family and then have kids and teach the kids these things too, and to have like balanced people in the world. And I think that's very much the goal of all of these rites and these rituals and regarding these traditions too. And it's not about floating off in space or just being alone. because that's one thing that I still want to add regarding like what my like from a Jungian lens, like what my anima had told me. It's not about it's not just about being with the anima and that's it. No, actually, the anima wants one to go out there in the world and to actually relate to people, because that's actually the whole fucking point of the thing.
Damn, that's such a crazy synchronicity, because something has been bothering me lately, and it is exactly that what you're talking about. I have isolated myself way too much. I've been way too counter-dependent, and just recently I realized, like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. I have those needs for social connection and for starting relationships that are healthy, but I suppressed that in myself for so many years, and yeah, it's I don't know. I always just wanted to say that.
I can relate to that. It's been in a way the same for me, even though I was in relationships, but it's more like I guess not really connecting on like a good level, and it's been a bit of a journey, but I'm getting to that similar realization that you've been getting to, that it's about time to do that and to connect in a much better and healthy manner than to keep doing that, because it's to come back to like what you were talking about, Neirum. We either men or women, we can't just either have men can't just float up in the sky and women just being there on the earth, and this being like completely separated, because it doesn't lead to life, because life happens where these two things meet in the middle, because otherwise there is no life. There's just nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of these religions have motivated and propelled a monk mentality, like isolation, focus of thought, like Jedi shit, like we don't need to have families, and if we do, everything has to be according to the dude, and all these other needs are secondary, and then that caused like a resentment in women, and then you had the women's rights movement, and now everything is so off kilter from this war. And this is the war in heaven, I believe, this culture war. This is the war between heaven and hell, between men and women, between earth and sky. And we're right in the middle of it, and it has to stop. It has to fucking stop. It's going to destroy our whole species. Through what you guys were saying, it made me think about the 7 deadly sins. You think about the 7 deadly sins, and you think, these are the basic drives of humanity that have created us. It's just overdrive that makes it sin. Like lust. Yeah. Like, oh, you're lusting at you're just thinking about sex all the time. It consumes you. That's bad. But your sex drive is necessary, and it is not evil. It is not evil.
Yeah.
It's not it's just when you do it too much, you have a psychological issue. Same with gluttony. You need to be hungry. You need to fucking eat food, dude. Like, what are you going to do? Live off of something like your thoughts writing your book or what? No. But when you eat too much and get fat, that's bad. That's probably a sin. You should check that out. But I think that has been misunderstood, and people have taken it to the max and gone into monk mode and denied all 7 things, all 7 basic human drives, and we have become something less than human.
I don't know. I do think so. It just gets too far to the point where the instinctual side, the Dionysian side, gets all repressed. But if it gets all repressed, it becomes all warped, and then but it doesn't go away. It just comes out in very destructive manners because it is not integrated, and it leads to all kinds of weird problems and this kind of war nonsense that is going on. And I agree that it has to stop. That this needs to come to an end where there's some sense of peace made between these opposing sides, so that there's life possible.
Right. The current state of affairs is men and women are not married. Men and women are not having kids. Men are working on AI robot waifus.
The audio is lost for me.
Oh, you can't hear me at all? Can you hear me, Bass?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Maybe something went wrong with your speaker, dude.
Maybe.
But yeah, men are working on these AI robot wives, and women are like jiggling around on OnlyFans trying to get some male attention, and even that's drying
Guys,
up.
can you hear me? Because I don't hear anything.
We can hear
Yeah, we
you.
can. I think his speaker went out.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, so now men and women are totally isolated in different corners of the internet and different corners of the earth. And they're not working on anything together anymore. Now there are pockets of like, conservative people working on things, but look at them. They're divorcing. Like over half of them are divorcing. So they're not doing good either. Even the ones that are trying to stay together, they can't stay married. They can't keep their kids sane. They failed too. So there's failure across the board. And there's I think largely the men working on the AI and the women doing OnlyFans, they've given up. They don't know what the fuck to do. And who can blame them for feeling that way? What the hell do we do? What is the cosmic family? What is the model of the cosmic family? What do we have to look up to? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's not just about looking up to, but maybe it's also about, I guess,
looking down. Yeah, all around. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is also like an internal problem. I kind of feel with certain things. I don't know. I can only speak like from a masculine lens here as a man, but feel that's not everywhere, but in quite some circles, one can see that there's too much of like intellectual bent on men in a weird way that is not very much like I don't know. I guess it's just intellectualism for the sake of it, and it doesn't really lead to anything, and it's not very I guess like grounded in that sense. And I kind of feel like there's this inner split between the instinctual and the intellectual happening within people, not all people, but those that it applies to. And I feel that this is kind of like a cultural split right now between that and the intellectual and the instinctual, but also regarding the emotional and in the intellect as well, where there's this tendency, like, you said, Neirum, regarding this monk mode, where it's only rationality, it's only fuck instinct, fuck emotion, like no none of that stuff. But the thing is that very much hinders people. But I think there's also a lot of cultural influence regarding that as well, because we're, as people born in a culture, into this culture that is like this, where there's this hyper focus on the intellectual for the masculine, where the instinctual side is not acknowledged and not integrated in a healthy manner. Where we have those superhero movies, but that's not integration. It's more fantasy. And the thing is that there needs to be. I feel there needs to be more of that integration of these opposites within man. That grounds that more, which also allows for this emotional side of the masculine to be able to come forward more too, because it's through the emotional side that we can relate to others. And I guess it's very much about that, relating. Like, how are we relating to the world? Because like we're talking about God's wife, it's like it's the earth. So how are we relating to the earth? How are we relating to each other? How are we relating to ourselves even? Like how And I think these are the big questions that people have to ask themselves in that sense, that they have to face for there to be a transformation. It's like similarly with me, it's like I've been looking into a lot of the, I guess, behavioral patterns and like stuff that I've been doing in the past, and looking at that and realizing that that it's very much about the way one relates to the world, and like how this lens shapes that, and having to go against that and realizing like, no, wait, no. And like what you were saying, Gabon, with like this realization, like, no, wait, but I have these particular needs.
Yeah.
So with all that said, what model do we have? Or do we have to build a new one? Has there been a model like this that isn't so radioactive, that people can understand and integrate it? Like, I know we were talking about Gnosticism, has explored this idea, but it's such a radioactive thing. I don't know if many people will get on board with it. I don't know. It has such a connotation.
What do you mean with radioactive?
Like, whenever you bring it up, like, say with Christians, it's radio. It's like, no. There's no bridge of understanding. There's no place where people can meet. It becomes a war, a battle of like, oh, you're worshiping the devil. So how do you have this conversation? Is it even possible, at all? Because my intention is I just want to like develop a model of thought, a family model that people can understand and relate to, and integrate. Have a role model. Can you do that with just a TV show? Like we were talking about that Jedi game. Can everybody just be like, oh, I'm going to be like this Jedi and this witch now? I don't know how many people can get on board with that, or is it even necessary to create anything? Is it enough to just have the conversation? Are we already in the Ubermensch stage where we can just develop our own morals, or what?
I don't know. Maybe I do feel, because of the cultural things, that you brought up earlier in the talk too, Neirum, that there is this shift happening in some sense already, and us having this talk is kind of part of that too. So in some sense, there is a movement, I guess, starting towards that. But definitely there's also a movement away from that and going even more like detached as well. And I think it's very much about, I guess, people themselves realizing like, hey, wait. Do I actually want to go into this really weird detached world with like AI waifus and I don't know what all, or do I actually have this desire and these needs? And am I actually not just denying that I have these needs? And I think those are the kind of questions that one needs to ask. And sure, I mean, there can come something from that, a framework. And I think like one can make a framework for oneself, like how it seems like you've been doing, Neirum, in a way.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just kind of bumbling around and feeling stuff out. It's kind of like when I'll see something and it makes me feel a way. I'm like, there's something there. It's kind of like the Quidditch game, where everybody's like flying around playing this game, and then sometimes I'll see this little like golden snitch flying around, and I like got to go chase after that thing. I don't know why. It was shiny. Like there's something about that. Mm-hmm. And over the course of several months is how I kind of developed this idea. And I know it's an old idea, but I guess I've been seeing it in pop culture. And I'm trying to apply some Jungian thought to it. And then I'm thinking about the Abrahamic religions of like, yeah, where is this aspect of the feminine? The Mother Mary is not that. I don't think Mother Mary is the proper feminine archetype. I don't. I watched this show Vikings, and it talked about Ragnar Lothbrok, and it talked about his whole journey, figuring out the sunstone and like a rudimentary compass to navigate. And I also watched his wife Lagatha, And for whatever reason, I felt like that was a proper feminine representation. She's a very feminine lady, but she definitely can pick up a sword and kill you if you threaten her kids. There was a scene like that. Mm-hmm. She's going to kill these dudes that were, trying to hurt her kids. That to me feels right. I would not want my wife to be so helpless and scared that, she lets somebody rape and kill her and put the kids into slavery. I would want somebody that would pick up a sword, do their very best, not panic, and fight. That to me is a proper fan. Now, should she be going out to war all the time? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. But if the man is gone, there needs to be a competent individual ready to defend the household, because she's, your wife is an adult. And I feel like in many of these religions, they infantilize, they make the woman a baby, like a helpless baby that needs help all of the time. And that creates like a hysteria, in women, like a helplessness. There was this thing in the early 20s about hysterical women, what's going on, and these psychologists are trying to figure it out. But that's just my take on it. I think that's where that comes from. Like, you're raised to think you're powerless and you're just like a baby maker, and then that created the feminist movement, out of rebellion. And now, like I said before, we're kind of in this mess now, this kind of transgendered quagmire of confusion, and we don't know what the hell is going on anymore. We have totally nuked everything about the family. We don't have them anymore. And when we do have them, they don't last long. Marriages don't last long, so you have a broken family. Go visit dad on the weekend. Go visit mom. Who's going to buy the Xbox for Christmas? That's all kids are worried about. They're just so fucked up in the head now. They don't know what to look to except comic books, superheroes, stories, and who's writing these stories? Are these people fucked up too, maybe? So it just continues on and on and on and on. And I'm on this quest to find out a story that's not fucked up, that makes sense, and I don't know how else to do that than feeling. I could sit here and intellectualize things for like 5 hours to try to justify this or that, but does it feel right?
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, that it speaks to one, because it's you can talk about it and think about it for forever, but it's if there's this deep feeling regarding that, then one should trust that for oneself. I mean, you can't speak for others, but I mean, if there's that deep feeling there, then definitely it's like with me and this like proto-Indo-European stuff. It's like that's the kind of stuff that speaks to me personally, and I kind of felt like one thing to bring up. It's in the proto-Indo-European myths and like the Indo-European myths. There's this with the feminine too, where they go like an example is the Archaea stuff that I've been looking into, where there's like these elements there from that are even more ancient, that are basically talking about this like rite where the girls become women, and then but they're not helpless. They embody this like fierce she-bear, and then later on also have this kind of like warrior woman kind of role that they can play too. It's like when the men are gone, that they can take on this warrior woman role and have this like part. They are part of the polis. They're part of the city of the and part of what is there. And then if the men are off to war and someone comes and attack, then the women will take up the arms, and they and fight and defend what is theirs. And that what you were talking about regarding this story regarding this Viking woman, that's exactly that kind of spirit that and that one can see in these way older Proto-Indo-European myths as well. It's that warrior spirit within the feminine, that there is this like quality there of the nurturing, but there is also this like warrior spirit there, where the feminine isn't just helpless, but can assert herself. That it's not gonna just take. It's not gonna just roll over and just take something. It's gonna be just like no, like fuck off. You're not gonna hurt my kids. Kind of mentality.
Yeah, and to me that is one of the most unattractive qualities that I see being pushed is the helplessness. Like I just think that's crazy. Why would you want your daughter to be helpless? Why?
Yeah.
Like that I don't think most fathers want that. They don't want that. But there's like this strange feeling when you do get into an argument with a woman sometimes. I think we don't know how to argue. I think we need to argue. I don't think women should just go along with everything that a man thinks. The way that I think it goes is I don't even think men pick who they're with. The women select. I really believe that. And a lot of men have argued with me about that. They're like, what are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. When you are doing good things in your life and you're like blazing your own trail and you have something that you believe in, women notice. Mm-hmm. And then they start like coming around and, trying to get you to notice them. And if you're just so focused on your thing, doing what you believe, and you don't care, if people think you're wrong or crazy, kind of like, the Ragnar character, these people become attracted to you and they want to help you. Women want to help good men. And so before you know it, you're doing something at work, and then there's like a sandwich on the table from this woman that you don't really know. Oh, I just saw that you were probably hungry, and I just thought this would be nice for you, and see you, have a good day. That's how it starts. That's very natural. That feels very natural. It's like not forced. You're not chasing after this chick, bothering her. Like, hey, can I get your number? Like, hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. That is not reality. And those relationships, I don't think they work. I think it's like an ego thing that's not real. But when you're just doing your own thing and a woman notices you and she selects you, she's made that decision to enter into something here with this man. And when it comes off from that, I feel like there's discussions more often than arguments. I think a lot of people don't know how to even start dating. I don't think they even know what the proper natural thing is. Because I do believe for thousands of years, the reason that humanity is at the point it is now is because women in the past, human women, chose not to be with bad men. When you think about it, you can't really have a relationship with a human being unless you guys are nice to each other. Like chimpanzees, for instance, they rape each other. The women do not pick. Mm-hmm. Chimpanzees are raped. That's how they mate. Humans, contrary to popular belief, do not do this and have largely not done this as a way to propagate the species and civilization itself. We have marriages where, people have to agree and consent to a relationship. There's a protocol that I think has been installed by women to select men out of these three things. They have to be strong, they have to be intelligent, and they have to be funny. I think that's the Trinity that women look towards in men. And they select based off of that. And cultures that select, or species, like humanity has chosen that as a way, a mode of selection. That's resulted in us figuring out a lot of things, because the men are strong. We can lift heavy shit. They're smart. They know how to build great pyramids and churches, and they're funny. They can joke around with each other and not murder everybody when they're trying to build a pyramid. Those three things make up the best of humanity. And those three things are what women are the most attracted to. And I do not think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's an accident. I think that's been an intentional genetic project for the past 250,000 years. And I feel like we're throwing a lot of that out. And we shouldn't. It's very important and a sacred thing that women have done for the species.
I think so too.
Yeah. I could go on, but I'll stop there.
But yeah, no, that's I think you're right with that, Neirum. That those qualities are indeed very much important, and I think you're right regarding that. That does seem to work very much.
What about women though? What would be the Trinity for women?
Like what men pick for women?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think men get to pick. I don't know if we have that. I think men can be, like, men have fetishes. Like, men can get attracted to feet. Like, there's a lot of dudes that get hard-ons from feet. What the fuck's up with that? That doesn't make any sense. It's more, I think with men, it's very fluid. There's a lot of different things men are attracted to. I think men have all kinds of different trinities, so to speak. I don't think women do. I think it's pretty universal with women what they're into. I have noticed there are some women, and this has probably caused a lot of shit, but I noticed some women don't care if a man is smart or funny. They just care if he's strong. And that man is usually violent. And that's a very complicated topic, but I do notice that there are some women that don't follow that trinity. They're only attracted to strength. They don't care if the guy is smart or funny. And so I'll leave it at that without causing a whole shitstorm of arguments of people watching this.
But I don't know. I think I don't know. I think there's to think like I don't know. Maybe for men there is something there, but it's I would not really know how to I guess distill it. Even for I guess the women to some degree. I mean, I think you're onto something, Neirum, there regarding the women. But I do think there is indeed variation regarding that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't feel attracted to any women, right? I assume you also don't feel attracted to literally every woman there is.
No.
So there has
I definitely have a type myself. Like
Same.
Viking chicks. Like I like that. I like a strong woman. I don't like a woman that's combative, just arguing with me all the time, like nagging you. Jesus, get that away from me. But somebody that's like, hey, what about this? I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. But I also have to have that attitude of like, maybe the woman has a point. A lot of men might not feel that way. A lot of women might feel like a man doesn't have a point. There's bad. I mean, it's a war. It's definitely a war.
So basically, she has to stand for something. Like she has to be loyal to some kind of ideal or loyal to some kind of person.
Yeah, independent of you.
Yeah.
And you have to. I think you have to see eye to eye.
For women, it's probably something like beauty, compassion, and loyalty. I think something like that. I think
Something
those
like
three
that.
are pretty fundamental.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We could dive deep into that. I need to do some exploration on that side of it. I guess I haven't done as much exploration on that side because, that is that. I guess that it's from the woman's perspective, and it's very hard for me.
Yeah, I mean,
to
you don't want to become an attractive woman, so yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard for me to. It's hard for me. It's a good question though. I wish there were some women on here we could ask, but I will after this because that's a good question.
It is a good question. Yeah.
That I don't have an answer to. I could only speculate on that.
Same. But yeah. But I do think like definitely this is the kind of like kind of talks that are necessary to mend some of this stuff, this rifting between these different opposites within the culture. And I guess these are the kind of questions like people need to be asking themselves in a personal sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about it. It's really got me thinking now, man. Like, I just really do deep down feel it's different for men. I think the things that you said, beauty and loyalty, I think those are a given. Like, that's already a prerequisite. You have to have that in order to have a family. If you don't have that, you have nothing. Because the loyalty is critical. If you don't trust anybody, you have nothing. I think that's between men and men and women and men and women. If you're with a bunch of dudes, you guys we gotta be loyal to each other here. Like we can't be stabbing each other in the back. How can we sleep if I don't trust this guy over here? If I don't know he's loyal to like our cause or what we believe in, that might go deeper into like a human Trinity, like not men, not women. Like, okay, what do we need as humans to function and not be chimpanzees throwing shit at each other and ripping each other apart and raping each other all the time? I think that has to be that. And maybe that came through women selecting men that are smart, strong, and funny. Maybe that's how that was born. Maybe that's how loyalty was born.
I don't know.
I don't either. I'm just talking shit. I don't know exactly.
Well, me either. I guess it is very much in the realm of like speculation. But I want to say, hey, Atom, welcome, man. You made it to a talk this time.
What's up, bro?
Maybe his mic is not working. Atom, is your mic working?
Atom.
No mic. He's off. He's in space. Hey, what's up? There you are.
Hey.
Yeah. Maybe you can sit maybe a bit closer to the mic, Atom. I can barely hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Guess he has some mic issues, but yeah, I don't know. Coming back to it all.
Another example I've seen that makes me feel right in my heart is a nice Saturday morning cartoon called Conan the Adventurer. And, it's based off of Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian books, but they made it an animated series. There's a woman in there, Jasmine. And, she like goes on adventures with Conan. And I think she's another example of this feminine energy that feels right to me. Like she wears a pretty pink set of armor. She covers herself, she's not revealing too much, and she has these throwing stars so she can attack from a distance. I've noticed that archetype of weaponry with women in like fantasy. They usually like have like a bow and arrow, or they can throw things. Like they're good at throwing shit. They're not super interested getting up close and personal like a man with a sword. Also, they're magicians, or you have like a female thief. So, and also in the movie Conan, you know, the woman that he meets, she's a thief, and you know, uses a bow and arrow and stuff. So anyway, she also uses a sword. I digress. So these characters in the cartoon, you know, they go on trying to figure out throughout the whole series how to relate to each other. You know, Conan will say stuff that makes her mad. She'll do things that makes him jealous or upset. And eventually, you know, by the end, you know, they kind of meet in the middle and have a good understanding of each other's needs. And they're together at the, you know, they're just like, we're together now. At the end of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But it was a process. Oh, it took like many years. Like, it was hard. They were not like together. They were like fighting, figuring this. They fought a lot. But then by the end of the episode, they'd be like, "Oh, I understand. Okay," and they would laugh, and the credits would roll. And that was pretty influential for me. It was really good to see that male-female dynamic working out in real time in front of me to help me figure out, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? They were like parables, you know? And I guess what I'm really talking about is, I feel like, you know, Carl Jung was right in a lot of things. Like, this stuff is going to emerge out in our stories, in our music, in our culture. Mm-hmm. And that might be the new, I don't know, that might be the new Bible that humanity has written. It's not one religion. It's like a mixture of, like we were saying earlier, like Nietzsche and Plato and Carl Jung is blended into like these Star Wars games and these Star Wars legend books of light and dark, families, male-female dynamic, children, life itself. How do you have a future? You can't have a future with Jedi not having families. You can't have a future with Sith being resentful that they can't have one. So there's a middle way. There's a way where these two sides can be married, they can be happy, and they can produce competent, smart, funny individuals that can make a really cool place on Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely think so, and I do think that that's like a movement that is probably gonna arise because, you know, its opposite has been here for a while already. This like very fragmented, split side, you know, and if that exists, there will be an equal pull back towards the center. Because the thing is that that life wants to go on, so the collective unconscious will create its opposite, so it goes back towards the center, because it's this eternal dance of these opposites, and there can't be just this pulling apart of these different parts, and that's it. Because without that dance, there's no life. But Athan, like how's your mic now? Let's test
I believe it's all right. So I think you can actually hear me.
Yes, I can.
Loud and clear.
Right, there we are.
Yeah, that's better.
Houston is receiving.
Wonderful. I'm nowhere near Houston, and I'm glad they're receiving.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you think about all this stuff we're talking about, man? Have you?
Wonderful thing is, I've got absolutely no idea what the subject matter is. I've just been listening to just a broad span of different things that you guys have been talking about for the last 10 minutes. It's been a broad span. So what's the actual subject matter?
Where's God's wife, you know, and why does he not need one? Basically. I can let Bass go deeper into it, and he'd probably explain it better, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, and then we've been just going into the
where is
masculine.
God's wife?
Yes, and we were kind of going into, I guess, this split of the masculine and the feminine, and this, I guess, this kind of like war that is going on.
There are some brands of. So it's always been sort of thought of that God has always been a man, because it always says in the Bible, he did this, or he created the earth, stuff like that. But recently there's been this weird sort of thing that I've noticed where people have started. I don't understand this personally. I don't fully agree with it, but they've started using both genders for God. So God has no gender.
Right, the transgendered.
They have nothing. No.
Right.
Not transgender. More. God does not fit into a. Basically, they're just saying God is non-binary. God just exists outside of all. Right. Which was both weird and interesting at the same time.
Yes.
But yeah, in my thought, where is God's wife? That's an interesting one because we don't know, do we? Because that brings about the whole thing of like, where does Christianity does not have a very good. Now, this is going to sound weird, but Christianity is one religion. There have been many religions before it, and a lot of those have got very good origin myths, if you know what I mean. They've got a very good sort of basis of like the Greeks. They were all born out of this random. They came out of the waters, and then this god died, and then they all sort of like got born of his blood and all that kind of stuff. So it's that happened. Similar thing happened in. Well, actually, that's nearly exactly the same happened in Greek mythology, except just slightly differently. But there is no origin story. God, we only have in the beginning. God, yeah, and well, I'll get the big giant Bible out. Hold on, I'll be back.
Okay.
Jesus, this thing's heavy. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of words in it.
No, I just picked up the. I bought a church reading Bible from a Thingy Bob shop. So it's this big. Anyway. So it goes, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So is that saying kind of that everything is water? Everything was water. Nothing had any form.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the issue with that is there is nothing before God. Everything came after him. It's one of the only religions in the world where everything came after God. Nothing came before. No, there was nothing before. We know nothing about before, but he created everything. But we don't know where he came from.
And he's a he. So why does he have, male equipment if there's not like a wife around? That's weird. What's going on?
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, he obviously created humans for that kind of idea. For example, Mary. I'm just going to bring Mary up in this one. He required Mary in order to have his son, even though his son was technically already around. In order to bring him into the mortal plane, he had to use Mary, which is weird. But then how would? Anyway, there's a whole thing of like.
Yeah.
It's like even Lucifer, after he got kicked out of heaven, sort of had a missus who then gave birth to all of the demons. That's a whole other thing. But that's not fully confirmed, by the way. That's just a weird extra bit. But it's in some bits of like scripture. It talks about Lilith, which was the first woman, and they just went, Lilith's just like off the ball. She went and like literally went down with Lucifer, and she's the mother of demons. She basically, Lucifer required a woman in order to create the demons. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, it's strange. It's very strange that there is no origin story for anything else. But yeah. Anyway, we require a reason. I've gone very much off topic of where's God's wife?
No, you are going over stuff that I said myself earlier. Like, no, keep going, man.
Yeah.
No, the simple fact is that we as humans require a purpose. And the issue I've always had with the Genesis is that God created everything. We live within God and Israel. But that implies that there is only God. But where did God come from? You know, there's this whole like schism of like random bullshit that just appears just because of that. But yeah, it's a very strange one. So yeah.
I kind of me and my friend have talked about this, and we were saying like when you look at the Christian or the Abrahamic religions all together, I'll lump them all together. They
all use the same scriptures pretty much.
Yeah,
they've all got the same writings, all of them.
Right.
Pretty much.
So me and my friend were saying, you know, God kind of seems like this guy that has locked himself in his garage with like a universe machine, and his wife is banging on the door saying, you need to come out here and spend some time with our kids. And he's like obsessed with this project in his garage. He doesn't give a shit about anything else.
Finally, 2,000 years ago, God just got dragged out of the garage by his wife, and he's just disappeared.
Yeah, that's where he's gone. His wife, he's out there with the kids. He had to go take him to a Little League game or some shit. Exactly.
I've always thought of that one as like, I think I read this one thing once. It was an interesting like sci-fi sort of proposal, but it was that one universe had died, and then there'd been one ship that had escaped, and this guy just arrived with like very advanced technology and just went, fuck it, I've got nothing else to do. I just fucking seeded everything. Came down every like 3,000 years. Yeah.
Was that Robert Zelazny book?
It might have been. But it was a very
The Lord of Light.
Book. The Lord of Light. There you are.
I think was that the book?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that book has the same concept. These humans crash on this planet with this spaceship, and they have technology, and they become gods, and a lot of bad shit happens.
Yep. Think about it. God in the Old Testament was really just like, oh, you have disobeyed my will, so I'm gonna kill you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're over here doing all the shit that I told you not to do, so I'm gonna have to drown your civilization. You know what I am gonna do now? All you guys are gonna get enslaved for around about like a few hundred years. Then I'm gonna send some guy. He's gonna release you all, and then I'm gonna give you actual rules carved in stone. Okay.
Right.
So you don't forget it.
Now, can you imagine if he had a wife next to him? How much of that shit would she let him do? You know?
Yeah.
She's like, what are you doing to our kids? Like, you need to like be a little nicer. No, they deserve punishment. Honey, you need to like just chill a little. And she just starts rubbing his shoulders, and he doesn't do the flood. He's like, okay, all right, honey, you're right. I was a little hard on him, wasn't I? Yeah, just a little bit. That would be a whole other dynamic, man.
Yeah.
I just remembered something, and I looked it up, and there is this ancient figure called Ashura. I think I'm probably butchering.
Ashura.
Yes, probably butchering her name. But there's some debate regarding this goddess that she might have been God's wife, but they got rid of her. Like they scrubbed her from the Bible.
There's a few different bits in the Bible where it's just like, this has been definitely edited. Like, no, it's like, I'm not sure about if you guys are religious or anything, but when I'm reading the Bible, I read a lot of other mythology as well, beside the Bible. Okay,
yeah,
I believe in God, all of that kind of stuff. But there's one story in the Bible where it talks about how, I can't remember if it was God or if it was two angels that came down to this city to try and get. If you read the Bible, you'd understand what I'm talking about. But they come down to this city and they knock on every single door in the city, asking for some food because they're travelers, and no one knows that. No one knows they're angels. They're just some like filthy people that are walking around the city asking for food, and only one house in the city lets them in.
Mm-hmm.
Only one house in the city lets them in. So they come in, they eat the food, and then they tell them, right, well, this is a summarized version, obviously, this is like the full thing they tell them, but they just go, well, you are the only, we've knocked on every single door in this city, and you are the only people who've let us in. So, you are free to leave, but there is one condition, don't look back. And, they get told to just leave that night, and they leave. But the wife looks back.
Yeah,
she turns into a block. She turns into a block of stone immediately. And he turns around, and then
pillar of salt.
Yeah, pillar of salt. I do apologize. Pillar of salt.
No, it's all good. But I think it's a very interesting difference. It's salt.
Yeah.
Like remorse. Like she turned into a tear, like tears
Almost,
of crying. Yeah.
But I can't remember if he also turned back.
I don't remember that.
No, he did not turn back. But what he did do is he got away with his daughters in a cave, and he was so distraught that he lost his wife and the city that he loved got destroyed that both of his daughters banged him to comfort him. I think that's fucking weird. But that happened in the Bible too, right after Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed, with the story of the angels you're saying looking for food.
Yeah.
Not only did that happen, the angels were found out, and all of the people in Sodom and Gomorrah came to kill them. And Lot was like, "No, please don't kill these angels. Please rape my daughters instead. Have them." And the angels were like, "No, bro, we got you, fam." And they went out the door, and they said, "Lot and your family, look away." And those angels sent out light and blinded everybody, and that way Lot and his family could escape, because everybody was rioting, murdering each other.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Lot's wife, looked back.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
In Greek, in Norse mythology, there's another story where Odin and Heimdall come down to this small town. It's a large town, and they obviously they knock on every single town, on every single door of the village, asking for food. Do you see where I'm going here? It's the exact same story. And they do all this, and they say pretty much the exact same script. And this story is it's older than the one in the Bible when it was written down. It's older. It's weird, but they tell them, obviously, right, you need to leave. We're gonna fucking destroy everything. Don't look back. And the wife looks back, and she turns into an ash tree.
Whoa.
But the husband holds her hand and looks back as well. He turns into an elm. And it's part of a story, because in the Nordic world at one point, and you can probably still visit them, there are two trees, and they're holding hands, almost. Their branches are linked together, and it's an ash and an elm tree. But they looked back, and it's nearly the exact same story, but roughly 1,000 miles apart. These guys would never have done any of this. And Christians
I like that
told
story
them
better.
Stories.
That story's much better, because the dad doesn't end up banging his daughters later, so it's much better to go to a tree.
So
I'd rather be a tree.
Weird, because my point is they couldn't have based it off Christian stories, because the Christians arrived and then fucking converted them violently. So it couldn't have been written I'm talking violently. They just in the Nordic countries, the Christians sort of arrived, and then one of the Viking leaders converted to Christianity and just thought, I've done a lot of really bad shit. So you know what I'm going to do? The more Christians I convert, the more people are going to be able to be saved. The more people I convert, more chance I've got to go to heaven. So guess what he did? He went on to every single town in his entire kingdom, and he told them, right, so you're all going to convert, and if you said no, you died. So yeah, Christianity, and then they did the same to Iceland and Greenland. They just sort of arrived at Greenland and just went, "Hi guys, so this new god. You interested?" They went, "No." "Ah, well, you should be. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. You better be interested then." Then they left. They come back, and everyone's now converted to Christianity, randomly out of the blue. And anyone who hadn't, they got piked. They got stuck on a big spike, which was obviously, they'd heard stories of what had happened. So, yeah. But my point is, these two stories were nearly exactly identical in their sort of base manner, with people written by people who were 1,000 miles apart each other and could never have actually correlated to the same story. It's weird. It's very weird. So it's very weird.
It is weird.
My point is, I've got a feeling that Christianity may have actually, the Bible may have a few bits in it that have just been sort of nicked from other cultures, just like full on.
Oh, totally, yeah. Like Yule.
Obviously, with the awful shit added in by the Christians. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah. Just like yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's and I talk about the beginning of America sometimes in relation to this. It was a pretty big deal, making a whole country where you didn't have to have like a religion. You didn't have to, you could be free. You could be an individual, but you need to follow these certain set of rules. Like you can't murder people. You don't need to be stealing shit. Like we'll come after you, but not because God says. Because we have logically figured out this is going to be fucked up soon if we let everybody do whatever. Has nothing to do with these Bibles or any religion. Has something to do with a new thing, a new concept. Human decency, because all religions seem to have this concept, so you can't say it's a Christian concept. We have to now say this is like a human concept. There's a new concept arriving in the American thought. We got to get the fuck out of these countries in Europe. We got to get the fuck out of here. Everybody's got to get the fuck out of wherever they're at into this new place. Nobody can defend, the Native Americans were here, but nobody could say no to us because we all had steel, we had sailboats, we had the wheel, we had all this technology and shit from all our crazy adventures, and we all come here together in this new place. And I feel like nowadays people are forgetting that spirit of. I feel like a lot of people are going full steam back into Christianity, which that's fine. Oh yeah,
no, it's very much one country under God in some places now in America.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a fuck up for many reasons. We do not want to have a unified church.
Have you read The Handmaid's Tale?
No, I have not.
Oh God, yeah. Basically, this Christian cult comes over, takes over America. They lose vast quantities of America because certain parts of America just go, "What the fuck's going on over there?"
Right.
But yeah, it's weird because it's modern America, and all this stuff starts happening. People just women just start getting brutally murdered. Hatred against women is massive. It's basically what was it? Imagine Mormons and evangelicals came together and just went, "We're gonna fucking kill everyone." It's that.
The resentment, the insecurity, the resentment,
the insecurity, the resentment. That they then massacre Congress, take over the entire government, and create the what was it? What was the country called again? I can't remember. But it's a weird one.
There's a very real possibility of that happening. I haven't watched any of it because I felt like it was really political, and I'm not into that. I'm kind of off in my own place. I don't know. But thank you for telling me that. I would have never known that. I would have never watched that. But that's very interesting. And now that you say that, I do feel that there is a possibility that can happen. Have you guys seen this Steven Crowder video? That's like a
Steven Crowder. No, that's a scary thing. At one point, that's what these people do. These online influencers and stuff. They say to some things, and then they slip in these little bits of like, you just watch it, just go, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's kind of surprising to me is how many
you're nodding, and then they slip in like, yeah, but we should probably castrate people. Anyway, moving on to this subject. It's like, well, wait, well.
That's just wild.
What's interesting to me is how many people are defending Steven Crowder in this thing. It's a huge. I didn't think it was going to be this contentious of a thing, but it's a very contentious point of discussion on the internet right now. There's a lot of men that are angry at his pregnant wife for releasing the video. And I'm just thinking, why doesn't this guy have a car for his wife? Why would he want her to ride in an Uber with a stranger that could hurt her? Because he's a famous person. Instead of him taking her or him letting her use the car. I don't understand how you could think you're a good husband or a good man or a good father at all. And go on like these podcasts. I've seen Steven Crowder get on these podcasts saying, I don't know what the problem is. What's her fucking problem? I'm like, dude, like, how out of touch are you, man, from humanity? Like,
there's this. You've got stuff like Andrew Tate as well, where they say it's interesting. It's very interesting because they say, as I just said before, they speak sense. And you listen to them speaking sense. It's like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. It's like the neutral version of like, oh yeah, like traditional stuff should be this, like all this kind of stuff. But they slip in little bits of just other stuff.
That's just
which you wouldn't agree with. But the thing is, because you're agreeing with everything else, you just go, oh, that's pretty cool. And then after you've been watching these videos for a very long time, you just accept that into your way of thinking because you're agreeing with this guy. Yeah,
that's just fucking wild.
Oh, man. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's really concerning because with Andrew Tate, he goes, "Yeah, no, it's I defend women at the very bottom of my heart." But then he's asked, "Well, what about Afghanistan? What about the terrible things that are happening there now?" He just goes, "Well, the feminists can take it back, can't they?" And then he's like, "What? Huh?" He just switches the conversation to a completely different tag. At the same time, they slip in it. So you're agreeing with them and agreeing with them and agreeing with them. And this isn't being recorded, is it? Before I get randomly assaulted.
Oh yeah, this is being recorded.
Wonderful, great. You've all heard a lot of weird things. Anyway, I hope you've all been enjoying this random fire, which I've been going on for about half an hour. But it's very concerning.
No,
because you'll listen to them talk, and you'll agree with them, but they'll slip stuff in there which you don't agree with. But because you've been agreeing with everything else they say,
you trust them.
And you've just been nodding and nodding. The trust, they build up trust. Yeah. That's what Hitler did. I know I'm like starting comparing like Andrew Tate and stuff to Hitler, but
well, I mean, let's say that's what Stalin did. That's what Mao did. Stalin and Mao did. That's what Mussolini did. Yeah, people overuse Hitler. I agree. I think that there's plenty of other worse. I'll even go so far as to piss everybody off and say there are worse dictators than Hitler.
But I don't know, like a lot of this kind of sounds like this slipping in of these things is like a subtle move of kind of like manipulation and
chill compared to some of them.
Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, your mic's cutting out, Adam.
Brainwashing.
Yeah, brainwashing.
Yes, right. But it's like it's
brainwashing. That's what it is. It is brainwashing. Ah, fuck.
Brainwashing. I think System of a Down sang a lot about that.
Mm-hmm. But it's
a good
very,
band,
it's very, very concerning indeed. And I don't think that is the kind of stuff that's helpful regarding, well, any of this at all. It just would really just exacerbate the entire conflict. Because it would be much better if people would be coming to their own conclusions instead of being brainwashed about stuff. And actually just figure out what is actually like true to them instead of falling for other people's nonsense.
Yes, but it's going to sound a bit weird. So you know the two. Yeah, no, actually, I won't start speaking about this because this is being recorded and will be going into the public sphere, and I will be tracked down. So we won't discuss. That's this.
We need to do some Rumble videos.
I should have asked that if this was being recorded before I started going on like a full spiel. But do people listening about like my full, very weird conversation, please do not start down where I live because I enjoy my existence. But yeah, I'm just some random guy like living in some random country somewhere. You don't have to worry what I am. I'm just some dude on the internet. Just calm down, chill out. Everything's fine. Chill the fuck out. Okay, chill out. Stop. Okay. Right,
no,
sorry, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, but what I can say though is that I don't know. This is concerning stuff for real, and I was not aware that I was aware that there's some weird shit going on with these different figures, and that there's all this like. Fighting going on between like the masculine and the feminine and these different opposites within the what is kind of going on in the culture. But this is indeed concerning, and there needs to be.
It's the same people that want to go kill all the wolves in the forest.
Yeah.
The same people that want to like
about the consequences of it.
Right. It's the same people. There is a way that you can build a fence to keep wolves off of your farm without murdering them all, and there is a way to be married to your wife where you don't have to make her take an Uber to go get groceries and threaten her.
Yeah.
There's another fucking way to do, because that Crowder dude in that video, he just kept saying, watch it, and he would look at her in a threatening stance. I'm like, come on, dude. That's kind of threatening, okay, to your pregnant wife, telling her to watch it.
But go ahead.
Wait, he was doing that to his pregnant wife?
Yeah. Oh, have you not seen the video? Yeah,
she released.
Oh, dude, there's a video of him like telling her, "Go get an Uber. We have had an impasse. We have had an impasse, haven't we?" And she's like, "Steven, like, I love you. Like, I just want you to like." Let me use the car. I don't want to take an Uber. It would be. He's like, what if I want to go see my friends? What if I have to go somewhere? You see, you don't love me. You don't love me. And she's like, Steven, I love you. What are you talking about? And he's like,
that's. If I can just say that's typical domestic abuse. That's not even. That's typical emotional abuse.
It is.
It's fucking retarded.
Psychological abuse. I mean, so it's that is. So people are going to say gaslighting doesn't exist. It definitely exists.
Oh, it definitely exists. I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience.
She's just asking for a simple thing there, and we've moved very far away from where is God's wife. But moving on from that.
No, this is the same topic, bro. This is the same. This is exactly why we're talking about it. Is culturally, this is I call it the war in heaven. That's the real war in heaven between men and women. You missed it earlier. I was saying that I think the devil is a woman. I think it's God's wife. She lives in the earth, and God is up in the sky. Father sky, Mother earth. we made those connections earlier in case you missed that. But yeah, dude, this is totally on track. Continue with what you're saying.
I've got a very different opinion on what the devil is, but you know, anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
What was I saying? I went off track there, didn't I?
Domestic abuse, psychological abuse.
Yeah, right. So if I just remember, you know, my qualifications, and my studies, what was it again? Yeah. So psychological abuse. What you're saying there is he's making her feel guilty for doing a simple thing, which means that she will then feel guilty for doing that eventually, which is just typical gaslighting. But at the same time, it's emotion.
Yeah, he's making her feel guilty for trying to feed the family and feed the baby.
Yeah,
that's just
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy. There's
a lot of people out there who do that kind of stuff. It's massively prevalent all the way around the world. But I think he may need to be given a reality check of that's not okay, mate. The basic human populace thinks.
Yeah, she's divorcing him, and she's going to take half his shit. Asshole. Yeah, that's going to be his reality check for sure.
But at the same time, that's a shame for him because he's built up this whole thing. But yeah, you know, everyone makes mistakes. He made a bit of a stupid one. But you know, that's life.
That's life, man.
That's life. Yeah, I should have probably checked this. That this was being recorded.
Well,
I apologize.
You haven't said anything out of hand.
I can say, Adam, it's even better than that. This is being live streamed.
Yeah.
Is anyone listening? Oh god.
Yeah. So. There's currently 4 people listening.
Well,
4 people. What's up, 4 people? Nice. So that's like, you know, 6 people hanging out basically.
Yes.
7. Sorry, 7. There's 2 other people.
So this is live streaming where?
YouTube. And there's I just got a like as well.
Yeah, we got a like.
So, anyways, but yeah.
So you guys need to watch that Steven Crowder video. Just watch it real quick right now. It's short. Just look at it because it's fucking crazy, man. And there's a lot of people like these, you know, what do you call them? These men people that, you know, don't want to get married and don't want to have kids and stuff.
Incels?
Defending the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. From experience, because I've been in like some of those servers just to interact with these people before, and from what I can say, there's a lot of issues there. I think there's like a lot of like issues. Well, from a Jungian lens, like there's like the mother complex, and that can create all kinds of issues regarding the feminine and this weird dynamic going on. But then at the same time, there's like, I don't know, there's a lot of like psychological dynamics in general going on in the culture, I feel, with like the parental complexes, but also all other kinds of stuff. And then there's these people doing this kind of stuff. Then I don't know, there's like, the parental, but also the inferiority, superiority complex, and all these different dynamics going on. And then there's all this trauma and all these causing all kinds of crap too. And I don't know, it's one big shitfest basically. And then there's this like war being fought out at the same time as well. And then there's this a lot of
I'd say one last thing would be that, isn't it? I know these wars aren't very good, that all these conflicts we always have, but I think they're great because
we're sorting a lot of shit out. That's for sure.
No, indeed. But my point is that we live in a place where you can have this kind of stuff. Like I've seen recently a lot of people, like Andrew Tate and a few of these other like right-wing people just go, well, we don't have all this like gender stuff or any of this kind of stuff. like Russia or Africa or China or anything like that. We don't have that. We don't have any of this kind of stuff. Like we don't have like women versus men. The women are all quiet. They're all traditional. It's always good. You know, why can't we be like that? There's a reason for that. It's because if you are gay in many African countries, you are deeply prosecuted. In Russia, you are deeply prosecuted. In Africa, you were deeply prosecuted. The reason why in many other places domestic abuse is also still widespread. The reason why we are called the free world is because we literally have the free to do these things, to have these discussions.
Yeah. And we protect people from violence when they're trying to speak.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now that's starting to change. That's starting to change. Like there are
very
certain...
scarily starting to change. Yeah, which is why I'm slightly concerned by talking about this now, because
right. Yeah, there are laws in our country where you can't talk about certain religions. You can't talk about gender stuff in certain states. It's a big freedom of speech is seriously under attack.
In my country,
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of speech is held up to like a massive standard, or so I thought. Then I started looking into it. We don't have freedom of speech. There is no freedom of speech bill. There's something called freedom of expression. But that is broad.
Mm-hmm.
Issue with it is that you've got freedom of expression. Just don't offend anyone or attack anyone with your speech. So if you do, yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird.
That is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got. There's also the whole thing of protests are now being dimmed down massively in the UK due to the simple fact of a lot of these protests have started causing issues, but then at the same time, they're just very weird protests because they do all these like massive things, but then that then makes it popular for public opinion to just go, yeah, let's get rid of these protesters. Let's make more protest bills. Let's make it less likely for people to protest. So I can do more stuff.
I don't think protesting helps anything. What helps is like if you just stop paying your taxes or you stop putting money into a company that you don't like. Like they can't go after everybody.
They can't go after everyone, no. But not everyone's going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
No. But that would be an effective protest. Instead of go out in the street, nothing happens, you might get arrested.
Do you know why Stalin was never toppled during the Soviet Union? This is a very different topic, but linked.
They all paid their taxes.
You know why? No.
I don't know.
So there were lots of different regiments and battalions, but they were all kept separate from each other. They didn't speak.
Oh, yeah.
The NKVD.
The Gulag Archipelago,
which was the name of...
Mm-hmm. Atom, you still there?
MI6 got him.
I think so.
Also, they'll just come and destroy us. You can't hear me again, can you?
No, you were cutting out. You're being bugged.
Oh, for God's sake.
They're locking on you.
Oh, no. They found me.
They did.
They did.
It sounds like it.
Damn it. Anyway. So one army would be... everyone was terrified. That was how everything was kept. It was fear. So one army would be absolutely terrified to fight back out of fear that two more armies will come and just destroy them. But these armies were all they were all kept separate so they couldn't talk to each other. It was divide and conquer for your own country. If that makes sense. You know?
No, it does. It's very, very intelligent.
So,
a smart idea.
Oh, yeah, Stalin was a very disturbingly intelligent man. He was probably the most interesting person in the entire 20th century. He was one of the brightest and most horrifically sociopathic people the world's ever seen. Quite literally, like a sociopathic. That he remembered the names of all the people who had ever slighted him, and when he gained power, they all died, like all of them.
He's the poster child of resentment, and he's still popular and widely loved today.
That's because he had a very, very, very good personality cult. Very good personality cult.
Darth Stalin.
Darth Stalin. No, it was more. So who is your father? Stalin. Who is your mother? The Soviet Union.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. I know I'm saying a lot. I know from people listening. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my stuff like as clean as I can, but I can't. I said it.
I struggle. I've got to self-censor sometimes. I don't want to get banned.
No, my point is that the basic ideas that we use would not even be that we use today for like in sort of the free, all this kind of stuff. Over there, you didn't do all this stuff. It was very much don't speak out against these guys because they love you and all, but there's a big hand of God hovering over you at all times. So don't fuck up. And my point with that is, what you were saying about, if you don't pay your taxes, then they'll come for you. Not everyone's ever going to stop paying their taxes because they think to themselves, if I stop paying my taxes, I'll get arrested. Yeah. And obviously people don't talk to each other anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's a fragmented, a more refined approach to what Stalin did.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's more on the individual level. Like, even families fight. You don't even have a family anymore. We don't have families. You don't even get along inside your own family. You don't even speak to your own family. This is true for most people. We come from broken homes. So, at least in the armies that were separated, they still had their families. And at least that army, they all had each other, at least. But now you don't have like anybody. Most people don't have anybody. Yeah. I don't know if that's ever been that true as it is. I don't know if it's been this bad ever. Like separation.
So we have the greatest communication technology in the world. We have the greatest. Everyone in the world now has at their fingertips has access to every single piece of historical document ever written by a human being.
Yep.
You can go back hundreds, thousands of years if you wanted to. And it's all uploaded to the internet. All of it. You can find all of it. But
True.
We live in one of the most ignorant ages. And one of the most scared ages now.
Yeah.
For some strange reason. We're all very, very educated. Everyone's educated now. Everyone's educated. Does our education give us much of anything at all? Yes, it does. Issue with that is, we now also have the freedom to make our own opinions and decisions, which fragment into a lot of other things. So I don't know where I'm going with this particular line of stuff, so I'm going to let someone else speak before I randomly start saying that we should have freedom. Because I do believe we should have freedom, but then I was just like, where's this conversation taking me? Wait, no, stop.
Well, yeah, people should be able to exercise their free will to the extent that it doesn't harm other people. That I think that's what America tried to do, and it's an idea that has taken on, and a lot of other people want that too. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, states isolated laboratories to test out new laws and see if other states want to adopt it. Whoa, that's a good idea. Let's try that. I think we're getting into like some weird waters where we're so lost that we're getting back into extremism. There's not going to be any future in that on any side. Liberal extremism, conservative extremism. You got basically Handmaid's Tale or Blade Runner. Okay, these are our options. These are both shit options. I don't want either fucking one of those. There's a middle way. Like, we could do something else. We could build wolves to keep the build fences to keep the wolves out, and we can get along with our wives. Yeah, I got that fucked up. But we can do things in a different way.
Yeah.
Like live in harmony. Not to sound like I'm totally deluded on acid or something, but we can live in harmony with nature. We can live in harmony with men and women and their children. We could actually like grow our own food. We could actually do some things that make sense. Like don't support businesses that do shitty things. Vote with your dollar. Like put some conscious effort into diverting funds into things that you really want to see in the world. Like have some options. That there's a good future in that. These absolutes, only cis deal in absolutes.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
But
I keep talking about Star Wars. It's just on my brain.
Makes sense. But I do think like a lot of this comes back to like this what we were talking about regarding these different opposites and this kind of division that is happening, that is both internal but also external, and caused by many factors. The factors that are at play are very personal for people, how it exactly plays out, but it has dire consequences on a lot of things, and it's all these small parts within people that like build up and lead to something bigger. And I really do think that, I mean, we used to have the Indo-European mythology like lens, but also like the cultures that we used to have. We had all these rites of passage. We had all these different rituals and these sacred rites for a reason. And it's to help people through these kind of things so that we can come to actually well-integrated individuals that are not just gonna go around fighting each other, and actually are part of a community and are part of something just beyond themselves, while being themselves as well. Being actually... just have this sense of actual community there, and this building of families and of something more that is through this relating to oneself and others and the world that leads to this middle way. And I kind of feel with a lot of this, it's like it's very much leading to this kind of like, these rituals, like are very centered around this coming together of these different opposites, like I talked about the intellect and in the instinct coming together, but also like the masculine and the feminine. And it's kind of like symbolized through this like earth and heaven and symbolism, and these two coming together, forming this third. And very much, to bring it back to that seems to be the case, and it is something that needs to be rectified within ourselves as much as that then could ripple out into the culture at large. And I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of issues that people have, because like you said, Neirum, a lot of people do come from broken homes. A lot of people come from these families, and there's this generational trauma and this generational pain going on. And it's the only way out of this situation is to move through this, to face this trauma within oneself, this hurt and these deeper, I guess, patterns of behavior that we have been taught by our parents or by the culture, and this kind of like fucked up stuff that is happening around us, and these different patterns. So we become aware of it, so we can actually move past it, to be able to heal from that. And only through this, I kind of feel like only through this kind of healing we can actually get somewhere. Because if we keep playing out this pattern. We just it's just pain causing more pain that causes more pain, and they're just kicking the bucket down the road.
Yeah. It's bullshit. It's got to stop. I'm tired of it. I feel like I've read like enough history that I'm like exhausted with my ancestors of this fucking bullshit. Like that's what the internet has given us. That's the gift. We can feel the exhaustion of humanity of dealing with this stupid fucking bullshit that we just can't get right. Now we've got it all out, laid out in books, on the internet. There's plenty of YouTube videos, and now we're able to get to some of these conversations of like, okay, this person over on this side is wrong, this person over here is wrong. There's a way. It's not easy. It's the razor's edge. It's dancing on the razor's edge. It's not easy, everybody. Nobody said it was going to be, but we have to dance on this razor's edge to get to the future. Otherwise, we keep falling off. You know, Rome falls, Egypt. I mean, America is probably going to fucking fall apart. Our roads are falling apart. Our power grid is fucking shit. We don't have any families anymore. Everybody's retarded and going in crazy directions. And I mean retarded in the scientific term. Like, people have turned down every aspect of their humanity. Everything is turned down like a knob. Like you can make a knob retarded. YouTube, are you listening? Look it up. It's a definition. And that is what has happened to everybody, really. Retardation in general.
Mm.
It's got to stop. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm not even that old, but I'm tired of it. I'm spiritually tired of it. Like, just seeing the aspect of everything that we've come to over the past 10,000 years. I'm like, you know, we can get to the next level, but not by doing this fuck shit. Like, we've got to really think a little harder about what we're doing and feel if it's right. You got to have that balance, that marriage between the heart and the mind. And maybe that's another part of this.
It is. It's symbolically from like an alchemical lens. I know that the heart is, and also Jungian, is linked to the feminine, and the mind is linked to the masculine, symbolically speaking. Even though like it's just symbolism, it doesn't really like relate to the actual thing itself. But it's again this coming together of these different opposites. And I feel
I think there's even I think there's even a term in an old book that says hell's heart. You know, connotating that your heart has something to do with hell and the devil, and your mind has, you know, obviously, I guess, has something to do with God and something more divine. It's away from your body, like the body bad. You remember that Scorn video we did of that gross world?
Yes.
That's why I got so into that, because the head rebelled against the body and left the body as a floating brain, and the body, you know, just wriggled and died and flopped on the floor. And it was so depressing to me. And then I saw those other aspects of the feminine being destroyed and the masculine mind being focused on and obsessed over to the point where the body literally shrivels and dies, and you have a floating head of consciousness that can see into other dimensions, but you don't have a body, you don't have children, you don't have a future. Nothing is nice. There are no plants anywhere. Everything is dead, and it's a machine. And you're growing fucking people out of walls, like pods in a wall. That's hell.
I stopped listening for half a second. I've got no idea what the fuck's going on now. What's going on?
As these conversations are wont to do, they're
but
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, but yeah, Neirum was talking about the Scorn game. It's a game that
Scorn. Yeah.
Yes, it just gave me I felt sick to my stomach just seeing it, just seeing that. It reminds me of this mandala that I made, because I've been making these mandalas about like the different opposites coming together for this course that I'm creating for Patreon. And I made one for Christianity. This mandala with these different like opposites all coming together. But it's so polarized within Christianity that it just, if you look at it, I shared it with like some people. If you look at it, it just literally makes you sick. it just gives you an aneurysm. It just goes just like your brain just goes like, fucking no, this doesn't work. It just doesn't. If you actually put it together in a mandala and as these symbols, then it just creates a dissonance. And it's not just in a singular person. It just happens in whoever looks at the thing. I wanted to actually use it for the course, but decided to be like, I'm just not gonna put that in the course. Fuck that. Not in the Age of Pisces episode. Ain't gonna make people have like a fucking meltdown.
Like, no, bro. Yeah, it's literally hell. And I appreciate you and everybody coming that day, and we talked a lot about it. We went probably way deeper than we needed to about the whole thing, but
yeah,
I did want to, because I feel like that's a distinct possibility. Men getting so obsessed with like a AI project, or so obsessed with something that, women are totally abandoned or totally subjugated in a way, or just like, it doesn't matter. We had this robot project. We had this other scientific goal up here in the clouds, getting further away from the Earth. That I felt it warranted a deep dive on the whole thing, because H.R. Giger's artwork is super gross, but I think it's gross because it expresses exactly what's going on. Like, we are combining our flesh with machine. Even if we don't want to realize it, like, a lot of people have like these fucking ear pods in their ear all day, or they're always in like some kind of car that has devices surrounding them. Some people, have like a pacemaker at this point. It's slowly getting to the point where it is like entering in us in a very strange, sexually perverted way, and taking over the function of the Earth in favor of sky technology, of shit we pulled out of our head out of nothing, and we invented it, and you're putting it inside of something that came out of the Earth. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense in my head when I'm saying it. It's kind of how I see the H.R. Giger stuff in that whole Scorn game. It was an expression of that, of the obsession over machine, over utility, and sacrificing any feeling, any remorse, any morality, in favor of the mind, in favor of exploration, in favor of opening the third eye instead of opening the two that you have.
And I kind of feel that that's gets also, like, in the territory of with like the Round Table too, and King Arthur and the myth. There's this sense with Percival as well, where with the Holy Grail, where he's moving, where there's this sense of kind of like wanting to transcend and get away from the Earth, but that that the moral of the story seems to be something along the lines of that actually. The only way how to make it happen, to fulfill the actual Christian, I guess, prophecy, or like I don't know, prophecy, this idea of new Earth that they have is actually that these two opposites need to come together, the Earth and heaven, that it descends upon the Earth. So it means that it needs to be embodied. It needs to be, instead of trying to float, into outer space and float upward into some abstract concepts.
Yeah, it floats away so far away that I think people forget. You need a lot of other things to survive. You need the Earth. You need to not live in the sky all day long, and become a little grounded. I mean, it's even in our language still, and it hasn't been banned yet, but I can imagine one day they'll say, you can't say someone's not grounded. That's groundist. You're like racist towards people that aren't grounded, or some kind of craziness in 10, 20 years.
But you know,
and that
it's-
can't.
Mm.
Yeah, that can't be. We have to, meet in the middle. We got to live on the earth, and we've got to still reach for the stars. But we have to remember where our home is. We have to remember where we come from. We don't come from the sky. We don't only come from like the earth with a dead rock. Like there's the sun, there's the moon orbiting around us. They're dancing on a razor's edge of their own. They're trying to show you how you do this. You need all these elements. But we have these philosophies on the earth, these ideologies in humanity of like the sun is the only thing. No, the moon, only darkness. And it's like, okay, guys, if it's only dark, the earth will be frozen. If it's only the sun, the earth will be lava. It's got to spin around too, and the moon's got to be closer because it does its thing. The sun has to be further away. There's this dance on the razor's edge, but we don't give a fuck about that in our philosophy. We don't give a fuck about that in our culture. We have no desire at all to seek that, and I wonder genuinely why that is. Why that is? What in the world could that be?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Neirum. It's for real just one thing that I can say about that. I don't know what the answer would be for that, regarding like why do we do that, or like why are there these people that do that? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I guess it's
why don't we want to dance? Why don't we want to dance? Like, we want to sit in one spot and, like, dig a trench and say, this is the only answer. This magic rock I found, this is the answer, everybody. And you build everything up around it, and then something happens, like the rock falls apart. Somebody chips the rock. What do you do? Oh, the rock. What do we do now? We build all this shit around the rock. It's broken. I don't know, man. Like, maybe you should have just been like, this is a rock. Maybe we can use it in some other way and not build a whole like religion or philosophy around that particular thing. Like, had the ability to dance and adapt and think, I'm seeing that this is the result of these actions, and perhaps we should do a different thing, maybe, until we get it right. Like music. Here's a thought. Music. How in the fuck are we able to have orchestras or bands of like 5 people and not a government that works or a religion that works? It's because there's
government and religions are far bigger.
Well, no, okay. I think that's because there's real-time feedback. You can hear music and be like, oh, that sounds like shit. But with like religion and governments and philosophy, you can't see that until it's way down the pipe, I guess. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think it just takes longer. The feedback is not there. But I think what I'm saying with the internet, we have that real-time feedback and examples that we can draw upon. Now I think we're starting to make music. This is the beginning of music. Of like, oh, this sounds good. This feels right. Oh, what about this civilization and this war what about this example? We have that ability to write symphonies now of new things. And have this real-time feedback. It's very exciting is my whole point. I don't even know why I brought that up or how that came to be. It's just a thought that I had.
I don't know. In some sense.
Well, Cade, if you'd be interested in giving us a topic you want us to discuss, we'd be happy to discuss it.
I just want to just say to you, Neirum, I don't know. I do think with regarding to this also, it's very much also about I guess embodying the philosophy first before trying to push it on anyone else to see in practice, does it actually work before being. I guess it's very easy to get lost in the idea and get like overtaken by an idea and then just be like, oh yeah, this is the thing. But it's something to have an idea, but it's something else to try to embody it. and to try to very much practice it first and actually see if this works in the world. Does this kind of relating to the world, does this work? Or does it? I mean, with certain things, like definitely yes, you can't, I guess, see it. But like you said, we do have access to a lot of history and data in general that can give us some kind of idea. And yeah.
So, Cade, I think you may be slightly confused because we were talking about the game Scorn and like that form of biotechnology, which was pretty concerning. But you may have joined us at a point where you didn't actually understand what was going on. So we don't think technology is bad. But
I think there's very good technology. Yeah,
technology is amazing. But you know,
it's
with everything, there's upsides and downsides. You know.
Yeah,
but
it's the
overall,
application.
Technology is incredible.
Yeah, it's just the application of it. Like, I think hammers are good, but it's not good to go bashing people's brains in with hammers. It's good to build houses with them.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's very much the thing. I think it's the same thing with like even technology like AI. It's about how you use it and how you if you use.
I mean, the robots are coming.
The
robots are coming. They're coming for sure. Awesome. But what are we gonna do with them? You know, and you could either have robots, AI like in Star Wars, where they're kind of like chill and they have like a role and they're not trying to take anything over. Or you can have Blade Runner shit or Matrix shit, even worse, where they're just like total domination. They're just like way smarter than us, and it's not good. In Star Wars, the robots are not smarter than people. You know, they have an application. You know, sometimes they're even less intelligent than people, so it's not like dangerous. Yeah. They're super strong. They can lift heavy things, remember a lot of shit. You can ask them questions and they can help you figure it out. They don't think faster or further in the future than you. So that application of robots and AI, sure. Not the Matrix shit. Not like what is the answer to the universe and everything. Like that's not. I don't want. I don't want that shit.
Cade, in versions of actually fighting AI, there'd be no need to really fight it. AI tool. It is not sentient. It's a tool which we can use.
Yeah.
So there'd be no reason. It can obviously be used as a tool for many different things, such as perhaps governance or laws and all that kind of stuff. Parameters of AI and robots, as long as it stays in check, that's the problem. True, it'd be more. We keep the checks. There has to be a check, a balance to it. Otherwise, we're just going to go forward with the progress and create things we don't fully understand how to control. I think that would be the main concern over how AI would work.
They shouldn't think for us at all or make any decisions like that. Like that's dangerous because people made them.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And we don't know exactly what made us. And
so I think if I could just pop in, I think the best actual thing of like AI doing stuff like that would be this pretty amazing podcast that I heard, and it was by the BBC. It was called, well, it wasn't a podcast, it was like an audio drama, but it was called Earth, and then there was numbers after it, but the entire prospect was they made this AI and robots and this kind of stuff to basically help humanity, but then they told them and gave them specific instructions, and they didn't think the instructions through, so it said, oh, you need to build this city for us. So the AI just went, oh, right, okay. And then it effectively just built the city. Washing machine things for you. Kate, you just here? You just not particularly adding anything to the chat there, mate. Exactly. Weird. Your iPhone is a tool. Your washing machine doesn't think for you. You what? Sorry, I don't know if everyone's reading the chat on the actual thing. So
yeah, no,
I
I am
really
reading the chat.
fully
It's
understand
okay.
what Kate's getting at this point.
Me either. It's okay. But maybe we should
Move on to a different topic.
Yes, maybe we should move on to a different topic. Maybe we should get back to what we were talking about and see if there's anything to add after, like, the over 2 hours, almost 3 hours that we talked about.
If I had to do the chore, then I would have to think about it. Kate, we're all grown people here, mate. We've all had to do these chores. They're not chores, they're just a simple way of life. Do you believe they're chores? Are you, what, like 5? Are you 13 or something? Like, I won't start going into, like, stuff like that, but then...
Yeah,
shush.
Just, Adam, just let it be. But, yes, I don't know. Adam, Neirum, I don't know if you all have anything still to add regarding the topic that we were talking about. Adam, I know. Just let Kate type in chat. It's okay.
Neirum, come back. We need your stuff back.
But
we need to get back here. Here you go.
But getting back to, like, the topic that we were talking about, that regarding the opposite.
Okay, you're a bit small-minded there, mate. Technology's scary as we live stream our PCs. You're basically just cramming the entire issue we just discussed into a very small little window that it doesn't fit in. So.
But yeah, that regarding, like, the AI and the Scorn game, and all of these things. I think very much the key regarding that very much is, like, how how we were talking about it, how we use it, and with the Scorn game, with the technology, it's very much to use it in a very detached manner, which isn't very practical. And that it's this like, kind of like weird way of transcendence that isn't really, I don't know, working for anything. Within the context of that game, it was very hellish, but at the same time,
it was a very interesting game.
Yeah, but at the same time, technology can be used in a very grounded and more practical manner as well. And it's all depends on how one relates to the world, and that comes back to humans and, like, how we relate to the world and how we very much interact with things and how we act. With it and what we create and our intentions, and a lot of these things are driving everything what we do, and it's driving, like, how we program things. It's driving how we do everything, and it's I think very much key to start to become mindful of the way how we behave in general. Like, we were talking about that with, like, the this problem between, like, the like men and women, and, like, this problem with the relating as well, and this kind of these problems that are happening within the culture regarding that, and it all boils down to relating, and it boils down to, like, the way that like these internal behavior patterns that we have, like, internalized through, like, our experiences. The any form of trauma or and cultural influences that we grew up with, like, how that impacts us, and how it creates these patterns of behavior that might actually not be serving us, and so we can start to change that, so we can move into a direction that's better than what we're doing now, because it's not a good thing to have these opposites move so far apart. That's to wrap it up for, like, to bring it back to that topic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's been a good chat.
Yeah. Likewise, and I think regarding that, it's very much Cade, would you say that the majority of men in modern society
I'd
are
say
ethical?
both, Cade.
I would say both. Yes, it's an issue of
It's
relating between both.
it's always been a team effort regarding that. So I'd say if we actually started working as a team instead of being at odds over separate things, then there wouldn't be this polarization.
Yeah.
So then we'd actually be able to just, well, live peacefully in some sort of harmony. But
Yeah.
if that is on the horizon, perhaps not. But we try.
Perhaps not, but it's something worth striving for, at least within
Indeed.
one's own life, at least. And I guess that's the only thing we can do to work on that and to try to do the best we can as human beings and to try to
we can build
figure it out.
circuitry. We can build circuitry with the positive and negative and make it do something useful. I think right now we have like a lot of circuit boards, like philosophies or religions is what I'm saying, like these circuit boards that are just not really working that right. You know, they're not working in the way that we need them to function in reality efficiently and happy. Because it's totally possible. Things get better and better and better. You know, things got worse. You know, things have got better, but spiritually we're kind of confused. We don't know what to do with all this technology, all this stuff. You know, we're trying to kind of figure that out, what the right way to apply the metaphorical hammer is.
Yeah. But
The government got your phone again, bro.
Yeah. But regarding all of this, I think as it is nearing like 3 hours almost, I think it's a good time to wrap up the talk. Yes, Adam?
Anyone who actually listens to this entire thing, thank you very much. It's been very cool to speak to you all.
Yes.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
It's been
thank
Yeah,
you for
tell us
being
what
here.
you think, and you write a comment about it, and share it with your friend. Talk to your family about it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's
and
figure it out. And
Neirum,
yes,
it's been a fabulous conversation. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and I hope just that these questions, you know, that we've been posing, kind of thinking about, like, you know, give some food for thought. Even though we don't have, you know, really the answers for this, it's through these questions and thinking about it that, like, we can.
We're simply three people.
Yes.
Doing. You know, we are literally just simply three people giving our own opinions and using our own knowledge. We are not experts on this matter, but we have our own seasons. Certain areas.
And we got our own hearts and minds, man.
Yes,
indeed.
That's all we
that's all we got. Yeah, and it's on us all to like for ourselves in that sense to figure it out and to have these conversations. And I think on that note, I wanna end the episode. So yes, take care of everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good evening and good morning.
Yes.